o'clock, and we're deeply concerned. We have made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Jones trying to cut in on a breakaway, holds on and slipped on the way. It's over! The Memorial Cup now belongs to the London Knights.
Over the past few days, we've seen COVID-19 spread around the world at a fast pace.
It's an audio-visual delight. I felt like I was at the cinema. Actually, well, like somewhere better than the cinema. Everything was so well balanced. I really liked the use of the radio and the news announcements as voiceovers for the deserted streets of London. And even though it made me queasy, I really did like when the camera turned the city upside down. Good metaphor for the pandemic overall, right there. The filmmakers captured quiet, deserted streets in such a way, and then the editors kind of forced sounds to be there that would usually be there that weren't there anymore due to the stay-at-home restrictions. I thought that was a super cool aspect. It was really impactful, had such a kind message and a strong message. I watched it 4 times, and each time that I watched it, I found something new about it. So I could tell that a lot of work went into making this one just right.
Hearing about the pandemic while also being in it is very, very hard because I'm obviously every country right now is able to relate to what's happening. And, you know, it's sad to hear about other countries and what they're dealing with. It was very great visuals. It was very nice seeing their country, like, you know, like before the pandemic and also during it. And, you know, like you feel so much, like I'm able to sympathize with seeing like no people on the road, no people in stores because of all the fear that our entire nation is facing. So it was a very heartwarming film and definitely one that I can relate to.
Different aspects like the unrestrained global reach that COVID-19 has had and how different countries have and are continuing to try and cope with it. It was really interesting how they cut together the like video images of just the kind of deserted cities and places that shouldn't be abandoned or you wouldn't think would be, you know, a year ago. You would never imagine to be as empty as they were, in with the what sounded like news coverage of different aspects of COVID and what had gone on in different places. And I loved the how they kind of cut those together. And then it really did at the end feel like a thank you card to all of the frontline workers that didn't get to quarantine or didn't get to lockdown because they were needed elsewhere and they were needed putting their lives in at least risk. And it was a beautiful movie. Cinematically it was really nice to watch. Like it felt good to watch, and the kind of tone of it was just, I think, right on the money.
It had some really great dynamic and just moving shots. You get the feeling that you're driving around the city with them. It was a very interesting choice to only film exteriors, and I think that it really worked. You know, it was showing how truly empty and deserted the cities are. The thing I thought was really effective was having the narration over top of the Prime Minister and the Premier addressing the country. And it gave the film an almost daunting feeling, specifically with the voice clips that were chosen. And then having it end on a face. Seeing the actual face of like a frontline healthcare worker was really impactful and I think technically the film was great, and story-wise, it absolutely, like, it hit its mark, and I think that it did what the filmmakers, I presume, it did what they intended for it to do. So this was a wonderful film, and I watched it a couple of times.
I really loved the thorough movement of this endless trail of sweeping shots as we traced across Canada to the cities we know and we love. Typically busy, bustling landscapes that were void of humans, void of our footprint, just silent streets, which is both eerie but also empowering in the context of the piece of us staying home so we can let our frontline workers, our frontline heroes do their job. I loved that while we never got to really encounter anyone else throughout the piece, it ended with frontline workers and those working in hospitals at the time. I just thought that was really powerful.
Really encapsulates its title by its combination of imagery and stock audio. They come together to really draw the point that though this is a time of great separation, let's say, we are still very much in this global fight together to survive through this global pandemic until science can, God willing, of course, bring a conclusion to it. And the images captured throughout and shown throughout this documentary really, again, really sell it, really take it home. The silence of these cityscapes, the quietness, the sense of isolation, the sense of loneliness, and yet as much of the audio material rather reminds us is that we are not alone in this. However it may look, right? However it may look from the outside, we are very much still united together in this. So it's great to have films like this during this time. We honestly need as many as we can get because it can be so easy to forget that as lonely as we are in fact not.